Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another round of Coffee and Questions. And what's today's topic? We're going to discuss extension cords for welding machines or for your plasma cutter. So a while back, it's been a long time back, I thought, well, the better way to go is I'll actually go out to the big box store. I'll buy the wire. I'll get the male and the female end, and I'll go ahead and I'll create my own at the length that I wanted. And I think I got somewhere between 25 and 30 feet of wire, something like that. And I created my own. And I'm going to show you a picture of one similar that I pulled off of the web. Give me just a sec. Okay, so like I said, this is a picture off of the web. This is almost exactly like the one that I made. And if you add up the cost, I mean, you're looking at $80 to $100 if you're making a good quality cord. And so I thought, well, I needed another cord because I had switched machines. Like I said, I got a plasma cutter. I don't want to switch cords around all the time. And, I got my 220 volt, outlets out in the garage. So what's a better alternative? Well, to buy from Southwire. And I've bought more than one extension cord from them now, and they're very good. And so I'm going to change the picture and we'll continue the conversation, and I'll tell you exactly what I bought. Okay, so to start off the conversation, there's no way I could have made one with this good a quality, for $56. And like I said, it ships prime. So it's from Southwire. It's 8 gauge, okay, and it's 25 feet long, which was enough for me for what I needed out in the garage. And it's going to handle everything that my plasma cutter or my Miller-Matic 211 is going to throw at it. So that's a generality. It comes 25 feet. So let me go over to questions and answers. I'm not sure I understand your question correctly. Let me give it to you another way. Just a standard, like average, extension cord is 16 gauge. Your average shop cords run about 12 gauge. So what would I tell you, for a welder? Well, I wouldn't go any thinner than 12 gauge, and I think you're better off with either 8 or 10 gauge. Now, I like the 8 gauge. It's the way that I went because I know that if you look at heavy duty, heavier duty, and heavy duty, the 8 gauge is probably heavy duty, and you can kind of categorize things like that in your head. And there's nothing wrong if you got the 10 gauge one. This one, and I'll leave you the link below, is telling you about the 8 gauge. The question is, how flexible are they? This is a thick, heavy duty cord. You're not going to get like a whole lot of flexibility out of it, but it's flexible enough for me. And on the back of my welding cart, I mean, it wraps around the hooks and it unwraps, satisfactorily, to me. So I don't have any problems, in the area of flexibility. No, the plug. Okay, so the question is regarding the male and the female ends. What I would tell you, no matter what you buy, is to look for molded on plugs, the connector ends. Now the ones on the Southwire, these are heavy duty molded on plugs. And that was one of the reasons why I decided to go ahead a long time back and take a gamble on purchasing this, is because I like the idea of those molded on plugs. So I've had mine for a couple of years now, 2-3 years. And it's held up fine. This is it's really heavy duty. It's incredibly well made. Now, somebody made the comment, there's a couple of criticisms here. The first one is when you put the female into the male and then now you want to take it apart to hook up something else, that it is incredibly hard and stiff to pull apart. That's true. It is. It would be nice if it wasn't, but I would rather have it, stiff and hard to pull apart than sloppy and loose, I suppose. So yeah, in the criticism area, that was not a deal breaker for me. I knew that, going into it, to go ahead and buy it. And somebody said, well, theirs was so stiff, they had to use a screwdriver to kind of begin to open it up and pry it apart. Well, you better make damn sure you have it unplugged from that 220 outlet, or it's going to light you up like a Christmas tree. So, if you've got to do that, make sure it's unplugged from the wall. Now, it's going to take some grunting and some pulling to really pull this thing apart when I use it, but putting both hands on there and tugging on it really hard, I can get it apart and wiggling it. Like I said, yes, it's very stiff, but it's not a deal breaker. Next question. Somebody made a comment, okay, this is all being promoted and sold and advertised as a Southwire made in USA product. Yeah, I don't know about that. And somebody made the comment, but when they're shipped and they got it, I never took that close of a look at mine, to be honest with you. It was actually, manufactured by a company called Coleman. Well, Coleman Cable is in China, and Southwire bought Coleman Cable. So, I don't think that it's too much in terms of false advertising. They should probably correct it. I agree. But it is, like I said, it's a good 40 amp, 250 volt, like it says up top, 10,000 watts. This is a good heavy duty cable. So just because of that advertising, yeah, I understand what you're saying, and they probably should correct it. But, you're not going to be dissatisfied if you bought this cord. Yeah, I'll leave it up here. You can read, down these specs. I mean, it's more than enough to handle whatever you're going to throw at it, whether you have a plasma cutter or, you have that 220 volt, MIG welder or welding machine, or even if you're using, an arc welder. Okay, now there is a small LED light on the female end of this plug. There's a lot of criticism. I didn't really get it. I mean, a lot of plugs don't even have an LED light, and they go, oh, the light's too dim. And, I thought about, whether or not I should send it back because it's not bright enough, and they carried on. Wow. I mean, I'm surprised that, there were as many comments as there was over this stupid LED light. It isn't bright, but it's bright enough where you walk over and look at it, you'll see it glowing. In which case, I mean, you have power all the way up to that female end. It's just like a nice little addition that Southwire put on the end of this female plug. I mean, it's not something that even if that wasn't there, I still would have bought the cord. So, I mean, I don't understand some of the comments sometimes on the petty stuff that, people want to pick on. But what I will tell you is that with that LED light, when you're done using your machine for the day, unplug it from the wall itself, because it still takes a little bit of power, to power that LED light. And if you don't do that, well, you're leaving it on and it's still consuming that little tiny bit of electricity. And if you don't go out to your shop for days and days and days, I suppose, it might cost you a little bit. I don't know. So I don't worry about it. On mine, when I shut everything down, I unplug everything totally as a safety precaution out in the shop. Everything is unplugged from all of the outlets. It's just the way I do things. I have a reminder plaque that tells me, certain things to do, because you don't want to forget, like to shut off your MIG gas. You don't want to forget to do certain things. So I got a little checklist by the door that goes inside that makes me look at it. And then if I did forget something, I go do it, one of which is to unplug everything. All right, so those are my thoughts on this. This is, I think, a great deal. You're not going to be able to make it for this price. You can try to look at the big box stores and price everything out. You're not going to be able to. This is 25 feet. For me, it was more than enough. Now, you can get these longer if you're working outside, let's say on a trailer, or you want to just be out in that well-ventilated area. You can get them at 50 feet. And then you can go from the inside of your garage out into your driveway or whatever you have to do. I mean, these are all things to consider. I mean, when you're taking a look at, things for your welder, your plasma cutter, or, anything that's requiring, that 220 voltage. But I wouldn't go, like I said, I would stick with either 8, 10, or 12 gauge. I decide to pay the few extra dollars and stick with the 8 gauge. I mean, you get a lot more copper wiring. And it's like I said, you go from heavy duty, heavy, and heavy duty. This is the 3 heavies, right? So I don't know any other way to explain it to you. I go with the better quality. It's only a few dollars more. I'm the Home Handyman. I hope you click subscribe. I hope that answers your question on what do I use on my Miller-Matic and my Hypertherm plasma cutters. Well, this is what I use. If you know something better, go ahead and drop it in the comment below. I tend to stick with things that I know that are really good quality and price competitive. This is from Southwire. Those are my thoughts. If you know something better, like I said, let me know. All right, I hope you folks click subscribe. I hope you join me and keep following me, and let me know what your thoughts are if you have any on anything else. You folks have a great day. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.